Turn this back on. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Adair Live. We will be hosting these every other week, featuring experts from the home building industry to help you better understand the ins and outs of building your dream home on your own land. My name is Gabby Gately, and I'm the marketing coordinator here at Adair. And my co-host, as per usual, is Jay Sowers. So thank you for being here again, Jay.
Love it. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah. And today we're just going to be talking about kind of what to expect following your home's release into the construction phase. So we'll be monitoring the chat. So just let us know where you're watching from. Tell us where you're building or thinking about building. You can even tell us maybe what part of the home building process you're in, and whatever stage you're in, we want to hear from you. And we'd also love to answer any questions you have about the home building process. So it doesn't have to be just about what we're talking about today. It could be about past topics we've had, or maybe even ones we haven't covered yet. So put those in the chat and we'll jump right in. So for today's objectives, we're going to kind of go over understanding the construction timeline, the different roles of superintendents and trades, the quality control and project management of your home, and construction delays and managing expectations during your building process. So we're going to first talk about the construction timeline. So Jay, can you maybe give us a brief overview of what to expect after a home is released into construction?
Absolutely. So I would say first off, what does that mean, right?
Yeah.
So in the world of home building, right, there is kind of a common term of being released into construction, and that means that the financing is in place, whether it's cash or from the proceeds of a loan that has funded. The builder, we have all insurance in place to start construction. Obviously, your jurisdiction, we have approved building permits, and we are ready to go. And so generally, when we talk about releasing a job into construction, that is, kind of like the slide Gabby's showing here, that's when we can start pushing dirt and we can start preparing this property for your new home. And I will say that at a very high level, when it comes to timelines, right, I think we can all agree that if the property that we're building on is a very, straightforward kind of city lot style, some would say a infill lot where utilities are at the street, it's a flat lot and there's no trees on it. Well, let's just go do a quick excavation and let's go pour a foundation. But I think that for the rest of us that are building on acreage, right, there's a little bit more site development that has to go in. And obviously, Gabby and I will probably get into that. But, we need to maybe clear the property and install a 600-foot road, hypothetically, and, get a well drilled and water available, and things of that nature before we can start pouring foundation. But all that to say, the general construction timeline, generally speaking, is once we start what we call horizontal construction or groundbreaking excavation, right? For the average property, it's usually about 30 days, right? In about 30 days, we should absolutely be able to get your temporary water, temporary power set, your driveway in, your building pad where your brand new home is going to be placed, get all of that excavated, and essentially get your lot ready for all of our trades to show up and start building, right? Okay, so then once we pour a foundation, right, there's 30 days. Then once we pour a foundation, Gabby, it does depend on the structure itself, the square footage. Obviously, if we're building a very nice, quaint, 1,300 square foot home, that's very different than a 4,000 square foot home with a daylight basement, right? But I would say on average, and I can only speak for Adair Homes, but on average, right, our build cycles from foundation to handing our customers the keys, right, not pending any weather delays, is ballpark about 8 months, right? 8 to 9 months, right in there for active construction time. So hopefully that answers the timeline question.
Yes, it does. And then you answered the rest of my questions too that I have for the slide, so we can move on to the next one.
Okay.
Unless you wanted to add anything else with that slide.
Well, we can go back real quick. I can
Go
look at
back.
yeah. So foundation and framing. That's kind of the next bullet point there.
Mhm,
Again, the complexity of the framing depends on timelines. This is where you're going to want to work directly with your superintendent and say, hey, how long is it going to take to get this thing framed in? you know, um, I mentioned weather delays, right? And I just say that because we're going into the holidays here, and winter is fast approaching. But at the end of the day, as long as we can get the homes framed and the roofs on, and
mhm,
what the building industry would consider dried in, okay, well then we might be able to keep construction moving during the winter, as long as our construction vehicles can get up to your job site and wire and plumb and sheetrock the
mhm.
home. But there are instances, depending upon the jurisdiction, where snow really sets in, and there's like a constant 4 to 5 feet of
Yeah.
snow in this area all winter long. And if that's the case, then we would generally have to put the job on hold. Um, anyway, but when it comes to like a utility installation, these are things that your superintendent is going to do for you on your behalf. We're going to help you coordinate with the different utilities. Um, Ultimately, when it comes time to install millwork and painting, right? And then obviously the finishing touches of your
Mhm.
home. That's an exciting timeline during construction, because that's when you're going to be able to walk through the home with the magical roll of blue tape. And it's like, okay, what are the things that we need to touch up as your builder before we're able to get final sign offs and
Mhm.
be really proud of the finished product to be able to move you and your family into your home. So that those would be my
Yeah,
final comments on that slide.
perfect.
Yeah.
And then kind of moving more into the superintendents and trades working on your project, how many people should someone expect to be working with like during this phase? Maybe how many people? I know we have a couple different phases that they get passed off to, so
Mhm.
there might be a lot of people they have to communicate with.
Yeah, I mean, depending upon your builder. I mean, I'm gonna
Mhm.
Gabby and I are talking about Adair
Yeah.
homes here, right? But one way to answer the question is you only have one person to talk to, and that is your construction superintendent, right? So generally speaking, I can't speak on behalf of all builders, but generally speaking, um, the homeowner shouldn't necessarily be interacting with the trades. Like, hey, framer, can you make this change? Or hey, drywaller, can I do this instead, right?
Mhm.
Or hey, electrician, can you add all of this stuff, right? Um, most of your trades, most of them are probably coached and trained to say, hey, check with your superintendent, right? Because those are like contractual changes, and your builder is contractually responsible for building the home that you and your builder jointly agreed upon, right?
Mhm.
So again, when it comes to superintendent and trades, you'll generally see one trade on site at any given time. It's not necessarily normal to have multiple trades on a job site at any given time.
Mhm.
Um, but all that to say, I think that although there's a lot going on, I think that from a consumer or a customer's perspective, it is best to be working directly with your superintendent at your builder with any questions that you have, maybe any concerns that you may have, so on and so forth. And that honestly, Gabby, goes to the next point on this slide, is kind of that quality control and
Mhm.
communication. And did you have a question around that, or did you want me to kind of jump into that one as well?
Well, I was just gonna ask about, like, what are kind of like the roles and responsibilities of a construction superintendent in trades kind of working on my home, especially maybe if the superintendent's not there or if I'm not there, there's like rules kind of in place.
Yes. So the superintendents, I would say that more times than not,
Mhm,
your construction superintendent is not going to be on site, right? It's not like he shows up every morning with a cup of coffee and
mhm,
just sits on the job site all day, every day, right?
mhm,
That would be non-typical in the
yeah,
construction industry. But I will say that the construction industry has what's called a scope of work. So when your framer shows up, for instance, or your plumber or your drywaller or your roofer, right? They have what's known as a scope of work, and it's very clear to them on exactly what they need to do from both a product side and a labor side. They know exactly what they need to do and what the builder is paying them to do that. So just because you show up on a job site and the framers are framing away and the superintendent is not there, please do not be worried that that the framer may be misframing something, right? And when it comes to quality control and communication, please understand that I'll just keep using the word framer here, but your framers, right? They need to frame the home per your approved set of building permits that, quite frankly, you as the customer signed off on, and then the builder, and or you applied for, right? So those are the set of plans that, right down to the millimeter, are going to get built on site. And quality control, your superintendent of your builder, in this case Adair Homes, we're going to be on site. Most builders have their own series of inspections. Here at Adair Homes, we've adopted the National Association of Home Builders, the NAHB home quality checklist. That's what all of our superintendents go through. And then there's a second layer of inspections, and those are your jurisdictional inspections, right? Where your framing inspector comes out, or your electrical inspector, plumbing inspector, where they come out and they're making inspections. And then all the way through your build, from foundation all the way to finish, right? There are numerous checks and balances all the way through. And as a customer, Gabby, I would say you're more than welcome to raise your hand at any point during the process and ask any questions that you may have if something doesn't look right.
Yeah. That's great to know. And then would they be given like a construction schedule just to see maybe who's going to be on their property at what time?
That is dependent upon the builder. I know that here at Adair Homes, we do release a construction schedule. So as a homeowner, you're going to know that, hey, framers are supposed to start on Wednesday, and this job normally takes, I don't know, 2 weeks to frame, depending upon square footage, right? So as a consumer, right, you will know what trades are going to be on the job site at a very high level.
Okay.
But please understand that, trades may not show up this afternoon, and they may show up tomorrow morning instead. So superintendents and trades do the best job they can to stick to schedules, because quite frankly, there's trades coming in behind them. But just know that schedules can and will shift and fluctuate by a number of days, potentially.
Okay, yeah. And then I know we have a handful of families who live in a different state but are building in one of the states we build in. Will they receive kind of maybe regular updates on the build timeline or kind of what's happening with the schedule?
Yes. So I would say that every construction company that I'm aware of, right, should provide a customer weekly updates on what's going on with their home, right? I will say, I don't want to brag, but here at Adair Homes, we have a pretty sexy feature. It's a program known as Builder Signal. So what happens is that as your Adair Homes superintendent is on site confirming work, maybe it's looking at the foundation, confirming the framing, you name it, he's able to take pictures on your job site. Those pictures are then uploaded to this program called Builder Signal, and it essentially creates this beautiful scrapbook of all the things going on your job site, and it's a great visual tool for you as a customer to be able to understand what's going on your job site and receive visual and written images from your superintendent. Now, that doesn't replace phone calls and emails by any stretch, but it is a great tool to visually have communication with what's going on the job site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know we've gotten a lot of feedback from families that say they love that feature. I know I would love it, just being able to see pictures and even look back throughout like the months of the construction process. It's a very nice feature to have.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially for those families that live, out of town or out of state.
Yeah.
Right. So it's awesome.
And then how can I be sure that the work being done on my home is high quality work?
Well, that is a function of the builder that you choose to use,
Mhm,
right? And I could spiral off for about a half an hour here, but at the end of the day, um, it's not the construction company that you hire. It really is the trades on the job site, right? That are the quality and craftsmanship of your Adair home. And I have to say that I can only speak for Adair Homes here,
mhm,
but I can say that our trade base in the vast majority of all of our regions and communities that we serve is well vetted. They've built many Adair homes before. They understand our scope of work and our quality. But I think that even at the end of the day, you know, I hate to admit it, but there is this thing called minimum code requirement. So even if, another builder were trying to hire some brand new framer who's never framed for them before, and this framer does not do a good job, you as the customer should still have confidence that the building inspector is going to call out framing deficiencies. And you would hope that your builder would also call out framing deficiencies that framer would need to get corrected or repaired. But ultimately, your builder is completely liable for every single trade and every scope of work being done on the property. But Gabby, you asked a great question. And I think that if I was a consumer trying to select what builder to maybe, build my home, when it comes to quality, right, your home is a big deal. And I think that's a great question of
mhm.
how long have you been working with your trades and what is your trade base like? So great question, Gabby.
Um, Then moving on to managing kind of expectations. So
Mhm.
maybe could you maybe go over some things of like or some common reasons for like delays in construction? I know you've already gone over maybe weather, if there's snow, and
Mhm.
then if the homeowner will be notified if there are any delays.
Yes. So I would say that as long as your construction management team or your construction superintendent is doing a good job, the customer should always be notified of delays,
Mhm.
right? Because if I'm a consumer, it's okay that my home is delayed, but just tell me, like, let me know what's going on. Just keep me in the loop. And I will say, unfortunately, there can be and are delays during the construction process. And I would just offer this for everybody on the call here is that, you know, a new home is unlike any other product, right, on the retail side, is that it is a product that is built outside by dozens of different trades and has hundreds of different materials, right, built in the elements. It's not like a truck built in a factory, in a conditioned factory with computers, etc. So, just I would say have grace that new home construction, right? It is a product that's being built on site out in the elements.
Mhm.
And I know that we went through a kind of a terrible couple of years there with supply chain interruptions. So there may be things that are quite frankly, Gabby, completely outside of your builder's control,
Mhm.
right? Material delays, and your builder needs to do a very good job of communicating that to you. There could be labor delays, right? The framer's not quite done on the Jones project. He's running 3 days behind, so he's not going to be able to start until Monday now on your project, right? Again, we also talked about weather delays, right? There could be good
Mhm.
delays on the property. And a good delay might be that either the building inspector or your construction superintendent, they found something that they didn't like with the framing, right? I hate to keep beating up on framers, but they found something that they didn't like with the framing. So let's put the job on hold really quick and let's get that framer back out here to make those corrections before we move forward on the project.
Mhm.
right? So those are going to be good delays, making sure that we have a very high quality product in the end. But lots of reasons for delays. But I just think it's super important that the builder that you choose does a very good job of communicating with you on why there are delays.
Mhm. Yeah, and then kind of expanding on that first question, kind of how should a builder ensure they're setting up customers with like the proper expectations during this construction process?
Yeah, so I think that this is a very, very emotional time for
Mm.
families because I want my home built. And oh, by the way, Gabby, I want to be in by next Christmas, right? Understood. Yeah. Or I want to be in before before the kids start school next fall, right? But I think that one thing to keep in mind of my years in the industry is first and foremost, Gabby, how long does it take on average, right, for this builder to build the home? And if a builder tells you, listen, it's going to be ballpark about 8 months or 10
Mhm.
months or whatnot to build the home, the reason I say that is let's keep the end date in mind.
Mhm.
And let's not get tied up with, oh my God, we're now a full week behind on framing, or the plumber, this thing just happened, and now we just lost 2 more weeks. And let's not get tied up in the details of it, because again, every single job without exception has nuances to it. But the builder that you've chosen to build your home, on average, builds homes in 10 months.
Mhm.
So your home should be done in approximately 10 months. And let's not get caught up in the week to week or daily delays.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. Those would
Um,
be good expectations to have.
yes. And then if any of you watching have any remaining questions for us, now is the perfect time to put them into the chat so we can answer them for you. And like I said, they can be about any part of the home building process. It doesn't have to be about the construction process. Um, but if we're waiting for any questions, we can kind of just go over the recap and key takeaways of kind of what we talked about in this session. Um, so we were understanding kind of the construction timeline, the different roles of our superintendents and tradesmen that will be at your property working on your home, kind of the quality control and project management, and then just kind of dealing with different types of delays and managing expectations throughout the process because it can be a little stressful. It's building a whole home.
Yeah, and I would say too, Gabby, that I think that last bullet point, managing expectations, is huge. Like if your builder could just come to you and say, Gabby, I promise you, in fact, I guarantee you, there are going to be delays. Things are going to come up, because at the end of the day, we wouldn't need construction superintendents if everything ran smooth,
Mhm.
right? Construction superintendents are there to make sure that they, are overcoming things and issues and all those types of things. So I would say go into this knowing that things are going to come up, and judge your builder on how they react to these things. Please don't go into this thinking that my home will be built in exactly 7 months and there will be no delays, not even
Mhm.
one day, on any of the trades, because I promise you are more than likely going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then we did get a question. So Marianne asked if uh, the homeowners are able to maybe stop by the build site just to see the physical process, not interrupting anyone, but just to see it.
Absolutely. I think that there's obviously some common sense that needs to be in play for like safety. So like now I'm going to exaggerate, but if the truss truck is there booming trusses onto the frame structure, please don't be walking around the home with your children, right? Hopefully that is painfully obvious. But I would say that no, like as long as you're being safe, right? I would say absolutely come onto the job site.
Mhm.
check it out. You're more than welcome to walk around. We have a number of families that actually live on the job sites, right, as their new homes are being built, right? We have many times where grandma and grandpa or mom and dad have gifted the neighboring parcel to family members. And so, they're living with mom and dad as this home is being built, or you name it. Absolutely. All that to say, I think it's important for you to be on the job site as much as possible and take pictures. But please just use discretion when it comes to to safety.
Mhm. Yeah, and then they also commented that they are building in Shelton. They're just waiting on their building permits, so that's very exciting.
Yeah. I will say, the last video that you and I did was kind of that pre-construction process.
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, Gabby, that is the worst part because you're waiting on everybody. You're
Mhm,
waiting on the loan to fund. You're waiting on the building permit to be approved. You're waiting on everybody. But
mhm.
I tell you, Marianne, as soon as that building permit gets approved, now it's just you and your Adair superintendent, and you're off and running. So that's going to be exciting.
And then if we don't have any more questions, our next Adair Live, we're going to be hosting a virtual open house for one of our most popular plans, the Mount Rainier plan. It's the very pretty home that is pictured on the slide, and it's very stunning. I have seen all the videos and pictures of the home, so you won't want to miss it. And if you do want to see a little snippet, I posted a short video of the kitchen and one of the kids' bedrooms of this home on our Instagram and Facebook, so you can see them there. But yeah, if no one else has any questions for here, you can still ask questions or get connected with our team, and you can head over to our website at www.darehomes.com. It's on the screen, and you can also call that number. You can schedule a consultation and interact with us via live chat on our website too, which is a great feature. But thank you all for being here today, and thank you, Jay, for co-hosting with me again.
Love it. Thank you for the invite.
And then we just wish you all a safe and happy holiday season from your friends here at Adair Homes. So thank you for stopping by. Take care.